Hello guys, welcome back to Watch Addiction Watch Reviews. Today we are taking a look at a 2018 Baselworld release from Tissot. This is the Tissot V8 Swissmatic. It's kind of like an entry-level Swiss-made watch, I'd say. It's obviously automatic. As you can see, the seconds hand is sweeping. And I think it's a pretty unique kind of cool watch. As you can see, that nice black kind of grainy dial, which kind of mixes nicely. It's kind of a racing themed watch, but definitely can be used in formal situations as well. So definitely a very versatile piece we have here. Now I paid around $300 for this watch from a gray market dealer, as you would call it. I did not buy this watch directly from Tissot. And yeah, but the actual, MSRP on this watch is a little below $500 I believe, at about $450, which is a bit high in my opinion, and I would probably never pay that much for this watch. But it is a pretty nice chunk of solid 3/16 stainless steel. It's a pretty decent watch, although some corners obviously had to be cut to produce this watch and sell it for that amount of money, and we'll get more into that. Anyway, starting off with a wristwatch check, I am wearing my Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean. This is the 8500 42mm, as you can see here. I saw Omega did release that new Seamaster 300 for the new James Bond movie, which looks pretty cool. I don't really like it though. It kind of has that fake, kind of vintage faux dial. I really don't like it, but this watch is definitely pretty neat. If you're a regular subscriber to the channel, you probably know I already own this watch. Anyway, back to the Tissot. Now, starting with some basic dimensions here, we're looking at a 42.5mm case, which is not really that small. It kind of wears bigger, I'd say. And I don't know why. It definitely does wear a bit bigger than 42.5. I'd say it wears like a 43.5. It's quite a heavy watch when you have it in hand on this solid stainless steel bracelet. We do get a 22mm lug width here. We get a case thickness of around 12.7mm, which is not that bad. It's actually pretty thin. Now, this watch, let's get straight to the movement. That's a big thing about this watch. So the Swissmatic V8 is using actually the same movement used in like the System 51s. It has that 72-hour power reserve, which is a big plus, but it does not have hacking. So, you can kind of take or leave either one. I would prefer, obviously, it to have hacking, but it does not. It does have self-winding. It does not have hacking. It does have a quick set date over at the 3 o'clock position. So it's a very simple movement. It beats at 3 Hz. It does not beat at 4 Hz, so it beats at 21,600 for that 72-hour power reserve, which means you can pick it up, and 3 days later it'll still be running, which is quite nice. Now the case itself is actually pretty well done. It is a little bit sharp on edges though. I did notice that on the bracelet and on the case. Now we have vertical brushing on the sides of the case. We have nice chamfering on the top portion of the lugs with a nice little polishing there, as you can see. And if you flip over to the other side of the case here, you can see the vertical brushing again, which is actually pretty nice, and it's very neat. Now the bezel itself, if I can get you in here, is actually polished on the sides. If you look really closely, it's polished on the sides, and it has that nice smooth brushing on top of the bezel there, which is pretty nice with the black filled in numbers. This is a stationary bezel, of course, which means it does not rotate. The watch itself actually has 100 meters of water resistance, which I found to be a big plus. If this had 50 meters of water resistance, I probably wouldn't have bought it. So it's definitely a versatile piece. You can take it to the pool. You should have no issue there. The crown is pull and push. Keep that in mind. Case back is screwed down. I will get you a glimpse of the case back in a moment. It's actually a sapphire exhibition case back, just as we have a sapphire crystal on the front of the watch, which is a good, I would say, quite expected at this price point, right? The dial itself is quite simple and legible. Not much lume on this dial. We have applied polished markers, as you can see there. We have a counterbalance T for Tissot, which I think was pretty cool that they do that. I'm pretty sure they do that on most of their watches. Marked Swiss made down at the 6 o'clock position. Semi-skeletonized loomed hands. Kind of in a dagger style, I would say. Definitely very legible though. I will admit that. The seconds hand does reach all the way out to the end of the dial, which I always do appreciate. And yeah, a very simple watch, I'd say. If you want to look at it like that, it's basically a good everyday watch. Now, the movement inside, like I stated, is the ETA C15.111. It has 19 joules. As stated before, there is no hacking on this movement. And it's basically the same movement as the System 51, I'm pretty sure. You can see the nice T on the crown, which is polished for Tissot. I do want to get you a look at the movement. We do get an exhibition case back here. Let me just pop open the bracelet. If you can see there, that is the movement. And they did throw a Tissot rotor on there. It does take Tissot Swissmatic, which is a nice little touch. Case back is polished, screwed down. The movement, nothing really spectacular, but I guess it's kind of cool to look at. As you can see the balance wheel there. And I believe this is a movement that you cannot replace or fix, kind of like the System 51s, which is a big letdown, in my opinion. I would have much rather preferred they put the, they put a standard ETA 2824 in this watch, especially at this price, but I don't know. That was their choice. Now the bracelet's actually a very nice and solid bracelet, but it is a little sharp on the edges. They did not bevel any of the edges on this bracelet. They didn't bevel any of the edges on the bottom portion of the case either. So it is a little sharp over here. Yeah, definitely a little sharp over here. Not like super sharp, but I see how it can annoy some people. Luckily for me, it does not annoy me when on the wrist. Anyway, this movement, the self-winding is actually really smooth. As you can see here, the watch is already going, but the self-winding is very, very, very smooth. I do appreciate that. Pop it out one position, we do get a quick set date. Then your final position, we do get a time set here. You can see the seconds hand kind of jumps when you jolt it back. It's kind of weird. I don't know why it does that, but it seems to do that on every model of this watch. And that's pretty much it. Pull and push crown. Very simple to operate. Getting back to the bracelet, it has pins. It does not use screws, but it's a very solid and nicely finished bracelet, I will admit that. It's very solid. This whole watch is very solid and definitely is very, very noticeable when on the wrist. And it's actually on a deploying clasp. A pretty decent one. Very solid clicks here. Claps together. Then we have Tissot 1853. Very solid bracelet though. I do appreciate that. And of course we do get solid end links as well. So there will be no lume shot today, as there is no lume on this watch, but I want to throw it on my 6.5-inch wrist, show you exactly what it looks like on my wrist. Here is the Tissot V8 Swissmatic on my 6.5-inch wrist, as you can see there. Lug to lug, it's not too bad actually. It does fit perfectly across my wrist, and it's actually pretty slender at 12.7 for an automatic watch there. The dial does appear darker black in different lighting settings, as you can see there. Like right now it just looks black, and then when the light hits it you really see that grainy effect, which is kind of cool. I really like that. Definitely no glare issues there. There is a light on it right now and you can definitely still read the time. But as I was saying, the part where it's a little, not a little sharp under here, I don't really feel it on my wrist, but I guess some other people do. Anyway, that's how it looks on my wrist. So furthermore, I think, well, who is this watch actually for? I think this watch is for someone getting into watches or already has an established collection and wants a beater watch that is Swiss made and of good quality. It's definitely a good quality watch, I'm not sure it's worth the MSRP price point, but it's definitely worth the gray market price point, in my opinion. Definitely a watch for everyday use that can be used, in all different occasions, considering we do have that 100 meters of water resistance, a nice solid construction, and a nice reliable automatic movement. I think it's a good everyday watch that you can wear to the office, and you can also wear like hiking or climbing mountains if you guys do that kind of stuff. Here in New York I don't really do that kind of stuff, but maybe one day. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of this watch. I think it's a pretty neat looking watch. It is available in a couple different colors. I will drop some Amazon links where you can find the best price on this watch down in the description below as usual. Definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely hit that like button, hit the subscribe button so you can always stay updated on the newest Watch Addiction watch review videos. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.